What's up, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. It's time for a recap of the 6th episode of Jenelle Evans's mockumentary. Thank God it is the final one. Full disclosure, before we even get into this recap, I could not finish this episode. I couldn't. I literally could not. My blood turned cold when David said something to his daughter Maryssa, and I just could not continue to watch the video, but we're going to get into that a little bit later. Let's start from the very top right now. Jenelle and David are disparaging the CPS workers per usual. David Eason, of all freaking people, has the nerve to claim that the CPS worker isn't even fit to have kids because she has a criminal background. As if he and Jenelle don't have enough mugshots between the two of them to poster up an entire Chuck E. Cheese. He also goes as far as to accuse CPS of being a child trafficking organization. Oh my God, the jokes just write themselves with this guy. Anyway, Jenelle tells us that she found the CPS worker, Susan, had a bunch of criminal charges for impaired driving, drug possession, assault and battery and stuff, which, guys, left me a little speechless as well. I'm like, how the heck can someone with this kind of a background work with children? Clearly there's something wrong with her. So she brought the information to court, gave it to her lawyer, who then used it in his line of questioning. Her side objected to it. She never answered to anything, but it was fairly obvious what was happening there. She just wanted those kinds of bugs or thoughts to be planted in the judge's ear. She also found that the woman had liked a bunch of pages on Facebook. I looked at the names of the pages. I was like, how old is this woman? What is this stuff she's liking on Facebook? It's like moms who love to drink, moms who need Xanax, some sex stuff. It was very, very weird, her array of tastes on Facebook. Then Jenelle said, listen, she also liked, MTV Ridiculousness, Jersey Shore. So she obviously was aware of the MTV universe. She had probably been following me on the MTV show that I was on. She was trying to use all that sort of information as proof that this woman was out to get her, but I don't believe that her lawyer actually used that in court. Then she also tells the story about how a child support worker, she had to start paying child support to Doris and Olivia and to, who's the other one? Barbara, while they were all caring for the kids. So the woman who was in charge of that pulled them aside to an office and said, listen guys, people in the office, everyone can't stop talking about you guys. All of David's tweets, all of this stuff hitting the news, that's all we're talking about in the office. And so David and Jenelle asked her to testify in favor of them, and this girl does it. I was like, so disgusted by this level of foolishness, from this woman. You're supposed to be out here protecting children, and here you are brown-nosing people just because they are on television, or they were on television. The case was ultimately dismissed very quickly by the judge, and Jenelle shows us the paperwork. I read into it, and it's a lot of the stuff that she was already saying. Maryssa testifying that David and Jenelle were always yelling and cursing at each other, that they were drinking multiple beers a day on a regular basis. There was information about Ensley being born with marijuana in her system, but Jenelle claims that she has a medical marijuana license from California because she's got esophageal spasms, etc., etc. There were no smoking guns in that document as far as I'm aware. It was just all stuff that we already knew. The collarbone incident was also in there. Just a bunch of stuff that you would think would help these kids, but apparently it didn't. There was an excuse for every single one of them. We then get footage of David talking to Olivia, who is Maryssa's mother. She is teaching her how to parent Maryssa and accusing her of coaching Maryssa to lie, quote unquote, about being scared of him on the stand. And you hear Maryssa crying so much in the background of their conversation. Then Olivia puts Maryssa on the phone to speak with David directly, and Maryssa cries that she's scared that she's going to get into trouble when she gets back on the land. And my heart broke, because you could just imagine how terrified this girl was. She said everything. She told her whole truth to a courtroom full of people that she trusted to protect her, and they didn't do that. Instead, they're forcing her to go back to live with this person that she claims that she's literally terrified of. This person that she says is yelling all the time in the house, with the wife. He's drinking all the time. He's punching holes in the walls. Those were used as evidence, and the court still didn't care. While he's talking to Maryssa, David, after accusing Olivia of trash talking him to Maryssa to turn her against him, he does that exact thing to Maryssa. He goes, listen, Maryssa, all you need to do is focus on listening to what I tell you is right and wrong, not what your grandma says, and certainly not what your mother says. He then tells her that nothing has ever happened to her while at the house. She's never been in trouble. She's never been yelled at, even though this child clearly said that yes, he does yell at her, and yes, she does get in trouble, and that is why she is currently so terrified, you know, and she just keeps crying and crying and crying. And then David tells her to stop crying. You know, she's just putting on theatrics for no reason. He's like, if you really want to cry, I could sit you down and tell you stories from my childhood, you know, and until then you could stop with these theatrics. I was like, what? Oh my God, like, dude. He then threatens to take her to the doctors if she doesn't calm down. And this poor girl is hysterical because she's literally terrified of this person. You know, there's so much evidence as to why she should be terrified of this person. And now he's threatening her with medical abuse if she doesn't stop crying. Her natural reaction to fear. This is the point, you guys, where I stopped the documentary. I couldn't keep watching it because I just, man, the level of emotional abuse, you know, you witness watching him speak to the child this way, the psychological abuse, you know, threatening her with medical abuse, like what? Man, again, as always, I am just so saddened for all of these children who have the misfortune of being raised by these two people, you know, and Maryssa in particular, because she was up on stand fighting for her life, just to be returned back to them in their care. You know, just shame on the judge, shame on the woman in the child support office who was brown nosing for, you know, a little bit of attention for David and Jenelle, you know, everyone involved in this situation. I'm so speechless, you guys. Like, this poor girl is crying. He tells her everything that she experienced is a lie. You know, you've never been yelled at here. You never get in trouble here. You've never had anything bad happen to you in your childhood, as if she didn't just get removed from this house and have to go through court multiple times. You know what I mean? Like, that's not traumatic, according to David. He tells her, you know, listen to stories from my childhood, makes it all about himself. And then she's still crying. And then at this point, he goes, all right, if you don't stop crying, I'm taking you to the doctor. Man, literally my blood went cold at that point. I just, pure trash is all I have to say. Pure unadulterated trash is what this guy is, you know. Like, are you threatening her with a lobotomy or something? Guys, what did you think about the documentary? And if you made it further than I did, please feel free to let me know what you thought about the rest of it as well. But you know, when it comes to these people, I can only take so much, and yeah, I definitely draw the line at this guy threatening medical abuse, what appears to be medical abuse, on his daughter because she's simply crying after experiencing an incredibly, not even just an incredibly, a series of incredibly traumatic events. Make sure to let me know all of your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below, and as usual, we'll chat. That's all for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.